Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right. We're ranking Toy Story 5. Toy Story 5 is a 2026 American animated adventure comedy drama film. Of course, it is the 5th film in the Toy Story franchise. In the film, when new technology begins replacing traditional play, Jessie and the rest of the toys must find a way to remind Bonnie that imagination and friendship are worth holding onto. Big expectations, of course, with the Toy Story movie franchise, right? I mean, you're talking about the 5th movie, but it's just a franchise that I hold near and dear, right? I was excited for because I love watching Toy Story movies. I grew up on them. I really enjoyed them. I think they're a fantastic idea, but I will say, I feel like I'm the only one that was disappointed and didn't enjoy this movie. A lot of people seem to have a lot of fun with it, and I can admit that there is some fun in it, of course, but really, I just did not think it was that great of a film. Let's get into why with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? Now, whenever we're talking about a series or a franchise, I do like to ask the question, did it make sense for this movie to be made? Did you have enough story to tell that you needed to add upon this franchise, or were you just trying to capitalize off the success of the previous movies and make some money? And that is one thing I do really enjoy about the Toy Story franchise, is every single movie justifies its own existence and does so well. They all have good themes, good lessons, good reasons to be made. They all feel very different from each other. They don't feel like they need each other to exist. They all exist on their own plane as good movies, with the most debatable probably being the 4th one, right? But I still enjoyed that movie. And this movie is no different. It does have a good reason to exist. I like the theme. I like the story that they were going for. I just didn't like the way that they told it, right? I do think they changed some very key things that were consistent in all of the other movies. And maybe they're just trying something new, and I can give them a little bit of grace for that. Just trying to maybe get a different audience, pander a little bit. I do think that this was more of a girl movie, which was okay. I just didn't think they executed as well as the other movies. And so that being said, this isn't a Woody or a Buzz movie like the previous 4. This is a Jessie movie. And I didn't enjoy it as much. I really don't think that she should be a main character, at least not the way that they wrote her in this movie. She just wasn't compelling or interesting enough to really capture my attention. And maybe that is because I'm a guy. Maybe it's because I'm an adult guy. I will say I did watch the first 3 movies after watching this one, just because I enjoy them and wanted to see, if I was just judging this one too harshly and the other movies weren't as good as I remember, but really they are. And this one just didn't perform as well as the first 3 movies. I think part of that is because Jessie's not as interesting. But really, the biggest thing to me that made this movie not nearly as good as the other ones is the human involvement, right? This is a toy story. The whole franchise is supposed to be about toys. And I'll give you, for example, right, the first 3 movies, let's just take Andy. A huge character, right? Mentioned a lot, seems to be the motivation for the toys. But the thing is, Andy never learns a single lesson throughout the first 3 movies, throughout the whole franchise. Andy never learns a single lesson because he's not actually a character, right? He's just a tool for the movie to have somewhere to return to, for the toys to return to fight for, to give them some morality about whether they should stay with their owner or not, or give them some definition about who they are as toys, what's their purpose, right? Andy gives them purpose. He's a tool to give the toys purpose, but he's not a character. He really doesn't have any depth, and he never learns anything, and he's honestly not really in the movies very much, but that's perfectly fine because all the movies are about the toys. Now, this movie, Bonnie is an integral part of this story, of this movie. This movie is the lessons that Bonnie learns and the lessons that the toys learn. And that's a difference between the first 4 movies that I did not enjoy. Now, some people might find that refreshing and they might enjoy it, and that's okay. But to me, it took away from the whole premise of the franchise. One of the reasons it also didn't work is because they didn't write the humans very well. The parents are very ignorant. I did not enjoy, it just took me out of it. I didn't enjoy the way they treated Bonnie because it felt like they just let her do whatever she wanted. There was no real consequences to her actions. It didn't feel necessarily realistic. It didn't feel responsible. It felt like these parents were irresponsible. And maybe that was part of the point, but they honestly never redeem themselves either. Usually there's a redemption arc somewhere at the end of these movies, but the parents never get one. They just are pretty much ignorant the entire movie. And then Bonnie's interaction with other kids just feels completely unrealistic. I didn't enjoy it, right? The story arc she went through, though I could see where they were going, it just wasn't interesting, and it didn't flow well. I didn't think they wrote it very well. Bonnie is kind of an annoying character, right? It just didn't work for me. I didn't like that they included so much more of the humans in this movie because the previous four just didn't. And then the other side, the toy aspect, Jessie's story was just not interesting to me. To be honest, I'm kind of hazy on everything that occurred because I was just really bored with the movie and it was hard for me to pay attention because I just didn't care about Jessie's story arc. It just wasn't motivating enough. And watching the first three, maybe there's some nostalgia there, but the reasoning for why they were doing things just made more sense and I enjoyed it more. This one, I just didn't enjoy it as much. I also didn't enjoy, okay, if you want to make it a Jessie movie, that's fine, but the way that they just completely downgraded Woody and Buzz. Less Woody, definitely Buzz. Buzz Lightyear is still present. He's still in the room, right? Like Woody moved on, and that's what the fourth story was telling, that he moved on and is now part of the Lost Toys, and that's okay. And the way that they have him come back is okay. But Buzz Lightyear is just kind of stupid in this whole movie, right? And having a conversation with someone this week, it made me realize as well, and also watching the second Toy Story, the difference between Toy Story 2 Buzz and Buzz Lightyear and Toy Story 5 is just, they feel like two completely different characters. Buzz Lightyear feels completely incompetent, where Toy Story 2, he's the leader. He is the guy, right? He keeps that truck going the whole time, and even the third one he does as well. But 5, he's just kind of stupid and lost in this weird love haze with Jessie. It just isn't very good. It's poorly written. Like, I wish they would have just not included Buzz as much as they did, because the only scenes he got were just him being, not himself. They didn't write him well. And I feel like that rubbed off in trying to write Jessie as well. There's just several things. There's probably a couple more things that I'm missing that I didn't necessarily enjoy, but I do feel like they took the plot of this one and really made it different to the franchise as a whole. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? Like I said, people still seem to enjoy this movie, and maybe I'm just being too critical, right? But I can't really help it. That's ever since I started doing this, I really look at things and pay attention to things and compare things. So when I see a great movie and then you bring me another movie and it doesn't do things as well, it makes it not as fun for me. But if you could go into this movie and just have fun, I think you can enjoy it, right? Especially if you want more of a girl style movie for Toy Story, this is the one for you. And honestly, I still think kids will enjoy it. It still has the same humor, the same kind of fun that the other Toy Stories had. I was just more picky as an adult, but honestly, kids will still enjoy it. Third is theme. What message or truth is a movie trying to convey? Now, like I said earlier, this is the main reason that I thought this movie justified its own existence, was talking about the potential damage of tech as far as imagination and social dynamic goes, right? The problems with Bonnie is the social problems of still trying to use your imagination and playing with toys and people not respecting you for that and making fun of you and bullying you, right? And it's a good lesson. It really is, because technology has really grown so much, and absolutely it can definitely wreak havoc on imagination. I think this is a great way to tell a story to kids that is interesting but has a really, really good theme behind it about, just not paying so much attention to tech and using your imagination, that it's okay to do that, right? It's okay to be a kid and play with toys rather than all this technology, your iPad or whatever. I do think it ages you and makes you try to act older than you really are, when really we know as you get older, you cherish the years in which you were younger, because they don't last that long, and you don't see that as you're younger. But I do think that this movie does a good job of portraying that lesson, and even so, I do think that some kids are going to get the lesson and play with their toys more overall, which I think is a good thing, especially, you know, towards the ending of this movie, just the reuniting of friends and enjoying kind of an old-fashioned way of hanging out together. I think it's a nice thing to see, and again, a good reason for this movie to be made. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversations? The dialogue is not bad in this movie, but I will say compared to the other movies, I don't feel like it's as clever, not nearly as funny. I think I maybe laughed once, maybe twice in this movie, where there are several things I really enjoy and smile and laugh at in the previous movies. I think creativity was just low on this movie compared to the previous movies in the franchise. Overall, as a kids movie, I do think it's still clever. It still has some decent dialogue, but it is probably the worst one out of the five. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? There's nobody to point out. They all do a decent job, right? We're all just kind of used to the characters. I will say the thing I will gripe about is they all felt tired. They really did, especially watching Toy Story 2. Jessie is so lively. Her character has so much energy. She's loud, she's hooting and hollering. And then you get to this movie and her voice actor's 60 years old, and you feel it. She feels tired. She doesn't feel as loud. Buzz feels tired. Woody feels tired. The problem is they've just waited so long to make this movie that everyone's gotten old, and I feel like you can really feel it with this movie. It's a little sad. Some of the characters just don't feel like themselves. They feel tired. 6 is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? The movie looks great, right? 4 looked great, 5 looks great. The biggest problem with 5, I would say, as far as looks go, is they look amazing. The toys look fantastic. The environment looks amazing. But then you have these human models that don't look very real. And it's this odd contrast that doesn't matter as much the previous movies because 1, they didn't look as good. And 2, the human characters weren't as involved. But because you see them more in this movie, they don't have as much attention to detail because they are purposely cartoony. Their head shape is a little weird. Their eyes are big. There's just certain parts of them that are cartoonish, but then the toys are completely realistic. I mean, even like Jessie's hair, you'll look at it and you'll see little threads popping out of it. I mean, it just looks amazing. But then you see this human character that is just cartoonish. And it's this odd thing going on where probably kids don't care. You won't notice it. You probably won't even notice it unless you're kind of picky like me. But there's just several moments I thought the movie looked weird because you were putting 2 very different styles on top of each other, and I didn't really like that. I wasn't a huge fan of the human models. I wish they would have just went more realistic because they were trying to make everything else realistic. But overall, it looks amazing. I mean, the details are just incredible. It's a very nice movie to look at, especially just creativity. Even when they're not going realistic, when they have some of the imagination scenes, it's very bright, very colorful, very fun to watch, especially for kids, I'm sure. As far as emotion goes, there was 0 emotion to me. And that is one thing that I've seen several times is the emotion about Jessie's story. And I just did not have it at all. Was not invested, didn't really care. And to be honest, that story has already been touched upon a couple times in the Toy Story franchise. So I just didn't feel like it was that memorable, didn't care that much. Not as much as, like, say, Toy Story 3. I think Toy Story 3's ending was much, much more emotional and hard-hitting than what this movie did. I really didn't get much out of it myself. 7th is editing. This is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is 1 hour and 42 minutes long. It's a decent length, right? I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much, so I wish it was shorter. I wish it was like 1 hour 30, but I'm not going to complain about 1 hour 40. That's a good amount of time for a kids movie, and especially a kids entertainment movie. Ninth is directing. Now I feel the director's in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now the director of this movie is Andrew Stanton, and this is his 7th film. The 7 total films that he's directed so far are A Bug's Life as a co-director, Finding Nemo, Wall-E, John Carter, Finding Dory, In the Blink of an Eye, and finally Toy Story 5. Now, I've seen quite a few of those movies, right? They're Pixar movies. And I enjoyed them, but I will say it does kind of make sense to me, right? Like, I do think he's a good director. He makes memorable movies. And maybe they're only memorable because I was a kid when they came out, but I also think they're memorable because they are decent movies. But I will say they are some of the weaker Pixar movies. Now, Pixar makes just fantastic kids movies, especially throughout the 2000s. They were just making hit after hit after hit after hit, just amazing movies. But I will say A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, Wall-E, Finding Dory, these are all movies that people remember, people like, but when you ask about people's favorite Pixar movies, these are not one of them. And this tracks to me for Toy Story 5. You get a movie that has some good aspects to it. It's not necessarily a terrible story at all, but it's just not as memorable. It's not Toy Story 1. It's not 2 or 3. It's not just this movie you're never going to forget. It's just decent. Wouldn't mind watching it again, right? For me, I would mind watching it again, but most people probably aren't going to mind watching it again and will remember some things of it. I think that's a lot. Finding Dory is the same way. I think Finding Nemo, honestly, is kind of a forgotten Pixar movie. I do think people like it, but it's not one of people. I don't think it's very many people's favorite Pixar movies unless you're just obsessed with fish. And same with Wall-E and A Bug's Life. It all tracks. He's a good director, but I do think he struggles to make like fantastic movies. He just makes good movies. 10th is Time. Will it stand the test of time? It will in some way because it's associated with this franchise, but it won't for me, right? Like I said, this is the only Toy Story I'm not going to own. I don't think it's worth my money to buy. Maybe if I have a little girl, she will want to watch this movie, and maybe that's an excuse to have it, but otherwise, it will be remembered because it's in the Toy Story franchise, but it's, I think, the worst one. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 93, the audience gives it a 95, and IMDb gives it a 76. Like I said, 93, 95, obviously people really, really enjoyed it. I do think it is just because it's part of that Toy Story franchise, and it doesn't do anything insanely wrong. It doesn't do anything blatantly terrible, so it gets enough credit to be really high, but to me, it's not even close to an A movie. To me, it is 76. I do think is maybe a little low. It's probably a B movie. C to B is okay with me. There's things I didn't like about it, but I think compared to every movie ever made, there is some decent qualities to it. It does have a good lesson. It is a decent story that maybe on an opinion scale just wasn't as good to me. And I am being picky because I'm comparing it to the first 3 or 4 Toy Story movies that are amazing, especially the first 3. I mean, they're one of the best trilogies to ever exist. So that's high things to judge it on. I think overall as a movie, it's probably in the high C, low B range for me. Finally, for the rankings. For the year of 2026, out of 8 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be second, just below Obsession and above Backrooms. It's as high because of that tier ranking system, right? Trying to take my bias out of it a little bit, giving it a tier ranking based on the averages of what people, how many people enjoyed it, the percentage of how much they enjoyed it, right? And then I rank them within that tier. So here I do have it below Obsession. I just personally enjoy Obsession more, and actually it scored higher in audiences. So people who decided to give this movie a chance did like it on average more than Toy Story 5, which is a little bit surprising, but it really is a big movie this year, and I think it deserves to be, and I would rather watch Obsession than Toy Story 5. I do have it above Backrooms, and that's really because I think Toy Story 5 is made for entertainment more and just does a better job, really. Backrooms is supposed to be more cinematic. I don't think it doesn't obviously perform on a level like Obsession, and audiences indicated that as well, that they enjoyed Toy Story 5 more. Cinematically, out of 8 total movies, it is going to be 5th, just below The Mandalorian and Grogu and above Backrooms. I have it below The Mandalorian and Grogu. I consider that to be a kids movie as well, in all honesty. And though they're not bad kids movies, they're just okay kids movies. They have some things that I enjoyed, some things I didn't. They both kind of ride off the success of the franchises that they're in within Toy Story and within Star Wars. But I do think that The Mandalorian and Grogu just has less plot problems, and I think it's less of a sin. Even though I would say that Toy Story 5 is more creative, has a better theme overall, I just really do not like when stories have plot problems and are just boring, and Toy Story 5 to me had more complications than The Mandalorian and Grogu. I did have it above Backrooms, and that's mainly for the substance, right? And this could definitely be argued, and I don't know if I can necessarily argue with you here, because to me it was just lacking. It's very ambiguous, doesn't give me enough detail. It felt like the movie wasn't complete. And there's a lot of people that say that that is on purpose, and they really enjoy it, but to me that's just not, it's not good enough, right? Not for me personally. I did not think they provided me with enough to speculate on or to be interested in, to really remember this movie and dive into it and be like, wow, that was a really good use of that strategy of storytelling where you just didn't give me all the information. Rather here they didn't, it was just too much lacking information where it felt like you just didn't have the substance. Some people enjoyed that, but for me, I just think it was kind of a flaw with the movie. I think Toy Story 5 is just a little bit better of a package overall. Now for the decade of the 2020s, out of 80 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 33rd, just below K-Pop Demon Hunters and above Final Destination Bloodlines. Have it below K-Pop Demon Hunters. Not that hard, honestly. There's not really that many things there's some things I didn't love about K-Pop Demon Hunters, but there were some things I really enjoyed out of it. I don't think I really had as much enjoyment in Toy Story 5, so this one was kind of easier for me. Toy Story 5, again, is kind of higher because of that tier ranking system. The audience is definitely pushing this movie up. Now, I do have it above Final Destination Bloodlines. Definitely more of a niche audience. I enjoyed that movie. I don't know that I would probably watch Final Destination Bloodlines beforehand, but I think on an honest scaling level here, I think Toy Story 5 is just more appealing and can be entertaining based on the numbers for a general audience than Final Destination Bloodlines. Cinematically, out of 80 total movies, it is going to be 31st, just below Mickey 17 and above Snow White. I've got it below Mickey 17. I think that movie wasn't as entertaining for me because of the political side, but I still think it was written well. It was creative. Again, just has less plot problems, though it's too long. I think the ending is pretty weak where they were going. There's still some good aspects to that story and some good acting. I think overall it's just a better package than Toy Story 5. I do have Toy Story 5 above Snow White, and that's just because I think that the lesson was better. These are both just kind of mid kids movies. I think Snow White got a little bit too much hate just because of the acting, but I found Snow White was made for very little kids, where Toy Story 5 is just a little bit more appealing to a general audience. So I think Snow White got a little bit more hate than was warranted, but Toy Story 5 is just more creative. It looks better. I think overall it just has a better story, even though there's some things I don't like than the Snow White of 2026. Now, all time out of 98 total movies on the entertainment side is going to be 49th, just below K-Pop Demon Hunters and above Final Destination Bloodlines. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. Cinematically, out of 98 movies, it is going to be 42nd, just below Mickey 17 and above Snow White. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. Okay, that's all I've got for Toy Story. This has kind of been a nightmare of a video to film. Disappointed in the movie, honestly, just because it's part of that Toy Story franchise, and they've just been doing so well. That franchise is so good. And to be honest, I mean, for the 5th movie in a film, usually you're getting pretty bad. This definitely isn't really bad, right? It's not an awful movie, especially by 5th film, typical averages. It is usually really bad by this point. I don't think it's really bad, but it's just not the same. It's not nearly as good. It's not holding the standard to me as the previous Toy Stories, but that doesn't seem to be the case for the general audience. A lot of people really like this. So if you watch the movie, please put your opinion down below. That's what I love the most. That's what I value the most out of all these videos, is hearing what you guys thought about the movie and having some interaction. That's why I made the channel. Wanted to just, interact with people who also love movies. I'm a small channel. No one ever really comments that much, so I will see every single comment and I will reply to every single comment. So please, if you have an opinion, I am asking you, begging you, please say something. Tell me what you thought, even if it's just you liked it or you didn't like it. If you had kids, I'd really be interested to know, did they really enjoy the movie? Is that something that I'm kind of missing out on because I'm not around children? But otherwise, please comment a movie you want me to review and I will add it to my list and get to it later. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.